The Cadillac Escalade's engine purred like a contented cat as it glided through Manhattan's bustling streets on April 5th. Inside, Pam Bondi, former Florida Attorney General and a legal titan known for her fierce courtroom battles, sat in the back seat, her sharp blue eyes locked on her phone. She scrolled through emails. Work never stopped for a woman who'd spent decades navigating political storms and legal showdowns. Her husband, Greg Russo, a seasoned real estate mogul with silver-streaked hair and a voice that could soothe or command a room, glanced over from beside her. "Pam, put the phone down," he said, his tone warm but firm, cutting through the hum of the car. "Tonight's ours." Pam flashed a faint smile, the kind that hinted at exhaustion but never surrender. She nodded, her blonde hair catching the dim glow of passing streetlights, but her gaze stayed razor-sharp, a hallmark of a woman who'd stared down opponents from Tallahassee to D.C. They were headed to the Liberty Bistro, their favorite Manhattan haunt, a place that once felt like a sanctuary amid the chaos of their high-stakes lives. Greg reached for her hand, his calloused fingers wrapping around hers. "I miss the steak there," he said, his deep voice laced with nostalgia, trying to pull her from the vortex of work. Pam sighed, her shoulders easing slightly. "I just want one peaceful night, Greg. One." The car slowed as they neared the restaurant, its neon sign flickering in the distance. Liberty Bistro, a name that promised elegance and escape. For years it had been their refuge. A spot where they could shed their public personas and just be Pam and Greg, not the power couple the world saw. The Escalade pulled up to the curb, and Pam stepped out, her heels clicking on the sidewalk as she adjusted her tailored coat. Greg followed, his sleeves rolled up slightly, exuding the quiet confidence of a man who'd closed million-dollar deals with a handshake. She gripped his hand, taking a deep breath. "I hope no one recognizes me tonight," she murmured, half joking, half serious. They pushed through the glass doors, the rich scent of rosemary and thyme wafting from the kitchen, mingling with the soft hum of conversation. The Liberty Bistro unfolded before them. Golden light from wall sconces danced across polished mahogany tables, a space that had once hosted their rare moments of peace. But as they approached the hostess stand, a shadow crossed their path. Ethan Caldwell, the manager, emerged, a man around 40, clad in a crisp gray suit, his polite smile strained like a mask about to crack. He'd been a fixture here for years, but lately his social media rants against conservative figures had grown louder, sharper. "Mrs. Bondi, Mr. Russo," he began, his voice soft but trembling at the edges, "I'm very sorry to inform you that we can't serve you tonight." Pam froze, her slender brows arching as if she'd misheard. Her piercing gaze ignited, a spark catching flame. "What did you just say?" Her voice sliced through the air, honed by years of cross-examining witnesses. Greg's hand tightened around hers, a silent signal to stay calm, but her instincts, those of a fighter who'd battled corruption and critics alike, kicked in hard. Ethan repeated himself, his words careful but edged with unease. "We can't serve you tonight." Pam laughed, a cold, biting sound that echoed her realization of the absurdity. "Inclusion? You call this inclusion?" She stepped closer, eyes locked on Ethan, her tone hardening. "This is blatant discrimination, and you know it. I'm not here as some political figure, I'm here to eat dinner with my husband. So what's the problem?" Greg cut in, his voice low but commanding, the kind that made boardrooms hush. "Mr. Caldwell, we're not strangers here. I've been coming since before you took over. We've never caused a scene, never bothered a soul. What are you doing?" Ethan drew a breath, his hands brushing the leather reservation book, as if it could shield him. "Mr. Russo, I deeply respect you both as longtime customers, but after recent social media backlash, Mrs. Bondi's stance on law enforcement and judicial reforms, a group of patrons threatened to boycott us if we kept serving you. We can't risk losing them." "Risk?" Pam interrupted, her voice sharp as a gunshot. "You'd rather ditch loyal customers like us? We've eaten here through primaries, trials, anniversaries, years of occasions. You think we're a threat because of my career?" She pulled her phone from her purse, fingers swiping with the precision of a prosecutor building a case. "You want to talk social media? Fine. I'll show the world what your inclusion really looks like." Greg raised a hand, his eyes still on Ethan. "Hold on. Let me handle this." He turned to the manager, his tone dropping like a warning. You know, I almost invested in this place a few years back. Great location, prime real estate. I pulled out for another project, and now I see I dodged a bullet with management like you. Ethan frowned, clinging to his polite facade. Mr. Russo, it's not personal. We're just trying to avoid trouble. If you'd use the private dining room, we'd set it up discreetly. No fuss. He forced a smile, as if offering a golden solution. Private dining? Pam snapped, her voice erupting. I don't need your charity, we're not criminals to hide in a corner. I'm a paying customer with every right to sit at my table like anyone here. She pointed at the diners, some now turning to stare, others raising phones to record. Ethan stepped back, his hands trembling. Mrs. Bondi, I get how you feel, but this is for the restaurant's and customers' greater good. I hope you'll understand. Understand, Greg echoed, his voice a low growl. You think we'll slink off after this insult? You're picking the wrong side, Mr. Caldwell, and you'll see the consequences. He gripped Pam's hand tighter. Pam, what do you want? Stay and fight this guy, or leave. Pam looked at her husband, then back at Ethan, her eyes blazing. We're not going anywhere, Greg. Not until they realize they can't treat us like this without a cost. She raised her phone, hitting live stream, her voice ringing clear. Hey everyone, Pam Bondi here. Right now, at the Liberty Bistro, my husband and I were just refused service because of my political views. The restaurant buzzed. A man at a nearby table stood, clapping. That's right, Pam. Don't let them bully you. But a woman in a designer sweater muttered to her friend, I knew she'd make a scene. Ethan stood frozen, his smile fading as the situation spiraled beyond his control. The Liberty Bistro's crystal chandelier flickered across Pam Bondi's phone screen as she held it steady, the live stream climbing to hundreds of views in seconds. This is the truth about the freedom they preach, she said, her voice cutting like a blade honed in courtrooms. They're kicking me and my husband out because I've spent my life upholding the law and supporting justice. This isn't inclusion, it's hypocrisy. Greg stood beside her, arms crossed, his stare locked on Ethan like he was sizing up a failing investment. Diners reacted fast. A middle-aged man in a gray suit rose near the window, clapping loudly. Pam's right, this is America. No one gets to refuse her. His applause drew nods from a few others. But in a corner, a young woman in a cashmere sweater whispered, She's just fishing for attention. I came here for dinner, not a circus. Her friend nodded, filming with a smirk. Ethan gripped the reservation book, his professional mask cracking. Mrs. Bondi, he said, his voice quivering. I don't want this to turn into a public fight. We're just trying to keep the peace. If you'd lower the phone, we could talk privately. Privately? Pam scoffed, eyes glued to the stream. You want me to shut up so you can pretend this didn't happen? No way, Mr. Caldwell. The world needs to see this. She swung the phone toward him, the camera's light making him blink. You said this is an inclusive space, but you're kicking us out because some customers don't like my views. Who are you choosing, paying customers like us, or the mob threatening you online? Greg stepped forward, resting a hand on Pam's shoulder to steady her. You know, I liked this place enough to consider investing years ago. Great vibe, killer menu. I thought it was a gem, but I backed off for another deal. Now I see I was right. Not because of business, but because of management. Like you. He tilted his head, eyes piercing. You think refusing us saves your reputation? You're wrong. Ethan took a deep breath, composure slipping. Mr. Russo, I respect you both, but we have to consider all our customers' feelings. A large group contacted us yesterday, saying if Mrs. Bondi showed up, they'd never come back. We can't lose them. He glanced around, seeking support, but met only curious or annoyed faces. The room split further. An older man near the bar stood, pointing at Ethan. I've known Pam since her AG days. She's a loyal customer. I closed a deal with her at table 11, right there. You've got no right to kick them out. His voice boomed, sparking cheers. But across the room, a woman in a business suit rose, her tone sharp. I support this. We don't want people like her here. She stands for oppression. It came to relax, not face politics. Pam swung the phone toward the woman. You say I stand for oppression. What about you, cheering for kicking me out? What's that if not discriminating against me for my job? The live stream exploded. Stand with Pam clashed with Bondi out as thousands tuned in. Greg shook his head, muttering, "They can't win with reason, so they pull this." The divide spread. A young waitress, hair tied high, approached Pam, whispering, "Mrs. Bondi, I'm sorry. I don't agree with this, but Mr. Caldwell said we'd lose our jobs if we pushed back." Pam nodded, her gaze softening. "Thanks, hon. You don't need to apologize. I know who's calling the shots." She turned to Ethan. "Hear that? Even your staff doesn't back you." Ethan retreated a step, hands shaking. "I don't have a choice, Mrs. Bondi. This is for the restaurant's good. If you'd leave, we could avoid bigger trouble." But his words were drowned out as a man in a leather jacket stood, shouting, "Bigger trouble? You just made it. I'm never coming back here." He stormed out, dragging a few others with him. Bondi expelled popped up on phones, spreading like wildfire. Greg overheard a woman near the bar whisper, "She's turning this into a campaign, but Caldwell messed up escalating it." He turned to Pam. "See? They're digging their own grave. One more push." Pam nodded, eyes blazing, as she spoke into the stream. "This isn't just about me and Greg. It's about them thinking they can exclude anyone who doesn't fit their ideology. But I won't let them win." She lowered the phone, staring at Ethan. "You've got 1 minute to change your mind, Mr. Caldwell, or you'll regret it." Ethan stood still, face pale, his polite smile gone. Diners rose, some to back Pam, some to protest, some to flee. The Liberty Bistro, once a symbol of elegance, was cracking from within. The buzz in the Liberty Bistro hushed as Pam lowered her phone, her gaze sweeping the room, the white linen tables, the chandelier's glow, the faint herb scent, all stirred memories she couldn't keep. She gripped Greg's hand tighter, her voice dropping, almost to herself. "You know, Greg, I can't believe we're standing here, treated like this." Greg turned to her, his eyes softening. "I know, Pam. I'm thinking about it too." He pointed to table 12 near the window, where streetlights cast faint streaks. "Remember our first time here after you won your AG race?" I said. "This woman's unstoppable." Pam's lips curved, the memory vivid. "Yeah, we ordered ribeye. You called it a warrior's reward." She turned to Ethan, tone hardening. "You know, Mr. Caldwell, that night your staff brought out a bottle of Cabernet on the house to celebrate me. They clapped when we toasted. Now you're kicking us out like we're the enemy." Ethan dipped his head, silent, as if searching for words but finding none. Pam pressed on. "Your staff made this place special. Now you're erasing that over some social media threats?" Diners listened, some nodding, others whispering. She raised her phone again. "Everyone watching. This was our home. But now they say we're not welcome, because I've fought for law and order." Ethan cleared his throat. "Mrs. Bondi, I'm sorry if this hurts, but we have to think of the greater good. Those memories matter, but we can't ignore other customers' feelings." His voice stayed polite, but tension bled through as he glanced at departing diners. Greg shook his head. "Greater good? I thought this place was worth investing in because of its warmth, its welcome. I considered putting money here, but I pulled out. Now I'm glad. If I'd known you'd sell out loyal customers over a few threats, I'd never have walked in." Pam nodded, eyes blazing. "You're right, Greg. We've given them time, money, loyalty, and this is how they repay us." She faced Ethan. "You think refusing us saves this place? You just lost its trust." The room stirred. The leather-jacketed man returned from the door, shouting, "I'm with her. 10 years here and I'm done." Others stood, chairs scraping. The progressive group stayed put, but their eyes wavered. Pam met Greg's gaze. "We don't need this place anymore, Greg, but I won't let them forget this." She spoke into the stream. "This is proof they chose fear over loyalty. We won't back." The Liberty Bistro trembled, chairs scraped, whispers sharpened, and footsteps echoed as diners rose. Pam lowered her phone after her final stream statement, eyes locked on Ethan, who gripped the reservation book like a lifeline. Greg tilted his head, voice cutting. "Hear that, Mr. Caldwell? That's the sound of loyalty you threw away." He pointed at the splitting crowd. Ethan tried to hold his ground. "Mrs. Bondi, Mr. Russo, I'm sorry if this caused a misunderstanding. We don't want to lose you, but I have to think of the greater good." Take the private room, no charge, as an apology. He forced a smile, hands trembling. Pam laughed coldly. Private room? You think I'll hide to save your face? No way, we don't need handouts after you humiliated us. She turned to Greg. See, they think they can buy us off with a free meal. Greg nodded, eyeing Ethan. You made a bad call. I thought this place was special. Warmth, hospitality. Now I see you'll sell it out over a few narrow-minded threats. You don't deserve it. The pressure erupted. The leather-jacketed man thundered. I've spent thousands here, but I'm done. He stormed out, others following. The young waitress untied her apron, petted on the bar. Mr. Caldwell, I quit. I can't work where customers like them get treated like this. She stepped closer to Pam. You've always been kind to us. Ethan's eyes widened. Lisa, we need you. But she shook her head, walking out. The head chef, Marco, emerged from the kitchen, apron over his shoulder. 15 years here, and I've never seen such stupidity. Refusing loyal customers over online noise? I'm done. He tossed his apron and left. The diner split, sharpened. The gray-suited man stood again. You lost your best chef. I signed a deal with Pam here last year. She's the best customer you had. What are you doing? He typed fast. Boycott Liberty Bistro. The progressive group wavered. The cashmere sweater woman whispered. She's overreacting. But Caldwell screwed up. The staff's flipping. Pam turned to Greg. See? They're destroying themselves. Staff quitting, customers leaving, all because he picked the wrong side. She spoke into the camera. This is the cost of hate. They're not just kicking us out, they're kicking out the people who built this place. Greg nodded. Mr. Caldwell, you've got one last shot to fix this. But you won't, you're too scared of the online mob. Ethan's voice trembled. I can't, otherwise. If I serve you, we'll lose more. Please leave to avoid trouble. But his words fell flat as more diners exited. An older couple shouting, we don't spend money at a discriminatory place. Boycott Liberty Bistro spread fast. Pam shook her head. You lost your chef, your staff, your customers, and you think we're the problem? You did this to yourself. She turned to Greg. I'm done here, honey, but they'll remember tonight forever. The air grew stifling as Pam gave Ethan one last look, her stare a dagger. Greg gripped her hand, his gaze sweeping the manager's pale face. The glass door slammed from departing customers, a drumroll of collapse. Pam took a deep breath. I'm done, Greg. We're leaving. Not because you won, Mr. Caldwell, but because we won't waste more time on a place that betrayed us. She raised her phone. This is our final moment here. They chose fear over loyalty, and we're leaving with our dignity. Greg nodded. You thought refusing us would save this place? You lost its soul. Customers, staff, values. He pointed to Marco's exit, Lisa's apron. They're leaving because of you. Ethan stepped forward, hands shaking. I'm sorry it's come to this. I had no choice. If I served you, we'd lose a bigger group. I'm protecting the restaurant. PM scoffed. Protect it? You lost your chef, staff, dozens of customers. You destroyed it. She paused, eyes locking onto Ethan. This was home, wins, proposals, memories. Now it's a place where loyalty means nothing. She spoke into the stream. When you choose fear over what's right, you lose everything. Mr. Caldwell started something he can't stop. Greg rested a hand on her shoulder. She's right. I thought this was a gem, but it's an empty shell under you. Goodbye. The gray-suited man stood, phone up. Summon Boycott Liberty Bistro is everywhere. You shot yourself in the foot. He marched out. The older couple followed, the wife shouting goodbye. The progressive group stayed, but their confidence faded. The cashmere sweater woman whispered, Caldwell botched this bad. Pam turned to Greg. We don't need them to prove anything anymore. They've made it clear themselves. She faced Ethan. You picked the wrong side. You'll see the fallout. Greg added. You wrecked it. Goodbye. They walked out, Pam's heels clicking, Greg's shoes echoing. Some clapped, some jeered, but most watched silently. The leather-jacketed man shouted, Good luck, Pam. She paused at the door, ending the stream. Thanks for watching. We leave as winners. They never 10 minutes later, the Liberty Bistro collapsed, not in bricks, but in trust and reputation. Ethan stood behind the stand, face white, the scrape of chairs fading into silence. "Everyone, stay calm. We'll get through this," he said, but his words were unheard. The gray-suited man pointed. "You lost everything." "I'm done." He stormed out. The older couple left, wine sloshing. The progressive group wavered. The cashmere sweater woman said, "He handled this so badly, the place is empty." They walked out. Marco's exit lingered. The bartender quit, tossing his apron. Boycott Liberty Bistro exploded online. Over 1 million mentions. Media pounced. NY Post, former AG denied at Manhattan restaurant. Customers flee. A sponsor emailed, pulling contracts. Ethan's phone buzzed. Cancelled reservations, press. Staff quitting. He whispered, "I just wanted to protect it," but his words dissolved. The Escalade glided away. Pam resting her head on Greg's shoulder. "I don't regret walking away. They didn't deserve us." Greg smiled. "I agree, but I'm starving." "New spot?" Pam chuckled. "You pick a place that values us." They pulled up to Patriot Grill, a cozy joint. Frank, the owner, rushed out. "Pam, Greg, welcome. I saw your stream. Liberty Bistro's a mess. Come in." Inside, warmth enveloped them. Grilled meat, lively chatter. Frank led them to a table by the fireplace. "I told you, Greg. Liberty wasn't worth it. Now you're here." Pam checked her phone. Stand with Pam trended globally. She smiled. "The world's on our side." Frank brought wine and steaks. "No one beats my food or my loyalty." News hit, Liberty Bistro closes after denying Bondi. Pam read it aloud. 10 minutes after we left, they fell apart. Greg grinned. "I told him he picked the wrong side." Pam started a new stream. "We're at Patriot Grill, welcomed by people who value loyalty." Liberty collapsed. We didn't. Diners clapped. An older man raised his beer. "You did great, Pam." She ended the stream. "This is real victory. Finding where we belong." The fireplace glowed as Pam and Greg ate, their plates half empty. She set her fork down. Tonight wasn't just dinner. It was a win and a lesson. Greg nodded. They thought they could silence us. Liberty fell because they chose fear over loyalty. The lesson? Betray trust, lose everything. Pam smiled. Ethan thought pandering saved them, but loyalty's what matters. We found Patriot Grill, truth wins. Greg raised his glass. To us, and what we believe in. The story of Pam Bondi, expelled by a liberal manager, reflects America's polarization, loyalty versus ideology. Liberty's collapse warns, chase trends, lose bonds. Patriot Grill proves, stand firm, find home. Subscribe for more stories of strength. See you next time.